Good afternoon, y'all. Another day is always another opportunity. This your boy JB, also known as I Am Battlestrong. And guys, if you don't know, yesterday we started the intro on this new book that we're starting every single Thursday. This is a 16-week class, and so the book is called Just the Other Day. It's written by my buddy Collins, who I go to church with. And so I'm very grateful to share this book with you guys as a course. If you guys didn't tune in yesterday, this is sharing, of course, the experiences of his life. He was born in Kenya, and so there's a lot of great experiences and different adversities and all types of stuff that he's experienced with his mother's passing. And so, guys, chapter one is of that. It says my mother's death. That's the title of it. And so I do just want to say before we begin, for anyone that's lost a loved one, or you know, if you lost your mother, my prayers go out to you, my thoughts go out to you, and we'll pray at the end of this for sure. And so this is chapter one, my mother's death. It's 8 a.m. at my dad's apartment on the 15th day of January 2018. My twin sister Tina is talking to someone on the phone. My dad was already awake as he approached me while busy making my bed. He asked, "Good morning, Collins. Are you okay?" I replied suspiciously, "Good morning, Dad. I'm fine." He asked, "Did you sleep well last night?" I replied, "Yes, Dad." I was so surprised that my dad was concerned about me that morning. Put my headphones in real quick. I was so surprised that my dad was concerned about me that morning. So Tina and I had lived with him for over about 2 years, right? And it says from his greeting that morning, I suspected something that was off because it was rare for him to do that. I rushed into the I rushed into the washroom to take a quick shower. While showering, my mind was being bombarded with a lot of questions. Why is my dad so nice today? Is my mama okay? Or is she in the hospital again? My shower didn't take as long as time as usual. After cleaning up myself, I dressed swiftly in a blink of an eye. I was already in the living room when I heard my sister cry. While in the worry of confusion, I asked Nini, Imba, and Kuna Shida. These are Swahili words that means what's wrong? Is there a problem? And sorry if I kind of butchered those words. No one answered me. My dad was busy trying to calm Tina down, and it didn't take long for me to recognize what happened. My mom had passed. My mom was an admirable person who molded us of who we are today. She was generous, disciplined, courageous, smart, God fearing, loving, and kind. She was filled with all the values that any human would be happy to have. In my heart, I knew I had not only lost my mentor, but also the best woman on this earth. She was a strong figure to me. She fought for her kids in difficult situations. She never gave up on her dream of making us better people. My mom passed away just a few months ago, or months after I had tried to fight for her health. I knew she was sick before I left Kenya for America. She had complained about constant headaches that never ended. She fought her battle courageously, without giving up. I believe she suffered from this enemy for over a decade. It was so hard for anyone to tell if she was truly in pain and agony because she appeared normal and functioned most and she was functional to most people's eyes. The reason why my mom appeared normal to most people's eyes was her beautiful smile, laugh, goofiness, and ability to forgive those who wronged her. Thinking of her, it reminds me of how she endured a lot in her life and how God blesses people with different gifts. God blessed my mom with resiliency. She was the type of person that would return to her original state after being compressed and deformed by circumstances in her life that she had no control over. Her illness was accompanied with some symptoms that were horrific and terrifying. For instance, falling while walking due to dizziness, and her mind being in a state of confusion. A good Samaritan, a good Samaritan could find her lying on the ground, and she could be transported to the hospital for treatment, which never helped, or she could be taken back to her house. Luckily, She never stumbled into hazardous areas like fireplaces, holes, water bodies, or many more. Before my mom left for heaven, I had several conversations with her. I would call every time to know how she was how I'm sorry. Um I would call every time to know how she was faring. Back then, I used to work at Walmart. I would call her before and after work. I would call my mom just for her just to hear her beautiful voice. I enjoyed it when she poured her pain into me. I wanted to share that I wanted her to share that pain with me. I knew she had gone through a lot in her life and I didn't know how important it was for her to share her pain with me. Sometimes I could just remain silent on the phone for her to talk about all her pain. I wouldn't even utter a word at all. Other times I could get exhausted after talking to her because it was heavy and painful. I felt bad for my beautiful mom. She gave it her all. A few weeks before she left us, I was still closely in touch with her and all the things that were really going out of hand. Sometime in November 2017, when I called my mom, I was devastated and discouraged when she said to me that she had never, something she never, I'm sorry, I was devastated and discouraged when she said something to me that she had never said before. Again, it was just one of the usual calls that I had made prior. She was still suffering from this enemy that could take her life. In the middle of our conversation, she started uttering a few words that frightened me a lot. She said, Kali, Tafadili, Amiba, Baba, Yaku. I need Awambi, Babu, Yaku, Mp, Shamba, Maili, Ambapo, Nida Ziwa, and Nikfa. These are Swahili words that means, Kali, please tell your dad to inform your grandfather to give him a land where where I will be buried and after I die. This was not the only time that she said this. She insisted several times a day. She insisted this several times a day, and I would reply, Mama Aka, Kasama, Haibo, Utah, Kua, Sawa. Again, these are still Swahili words that mean, Mom, stop saying that. You'll be fine. In most African communities or countries, land is passed from father to son. It is a responsibility of the father to give land to his son. Land ownership is a big problem in most African countries because family members fight over it for ownership. We have had cases in the past where some family members have even been killed amongst each other to own properties, especially land. Unlike Western culture in Africa, land is neither a commodity nor an individual possession. It doesn't belong to humans, but it is a gift from God. In fact, 70 to 90% of all wealth in Africa is generated through land. However, less than 10% of the continent is owned by women. Mom knew that my dad didn't have his share of land yet. She was aware that if she wouldn't she was aware that if she wouldn't make it one day, she would have no place to be buried. This is the reason why she was telling me to inform him to do that. Do you think I did that? I didn't. And I feel like I disrespected her because I never passed her message to him. I was convinced that my mom still had more years with us on this earth, but I was wrong. In some of our conversations, I would say, Mama, atak, atkawa, sawa, hatakafa. These are Swahili words that mean, Mom, you will be okay. You will be okay. You will not die. She could ask, Kali, Nephi, Leo, um, Maisha, that word's pretty long. I don't want to butcher it, guys. Meaning, Kali, if I die today, will life not continue? I couldn't even respond to her because I had no answer at all. These were some of the most difficult conversations I've ever had with my beautiful mom before she passed. The last day I talked to my mom was on a Saturday, January 13th, 2018. And I would have called her on Sunday if I knew she would not be with me the next day. I was sitting at my dad's apartment while watching soccer. Chelsea was playing against uh, Leicester City. These are some of the most competitive teams in English Premier Language or League. They are just like Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics in the NBA. During that time, Tina was Chelsea's supporter while I was in Manchester City, which I still support to date. On that day to our conversation, um, on that day, our conversation was brief. I wish I would have talked to her for a long time. If I knew that January 15, 2018 would be her last day on this earth, our conversations was far more focused on soccer than her wealth on that day. She seemed to be happy and in better health compared to her previous days. I had talked to her. She was preparing to go for treatment the exact day she died. To me, this was a big hit. I knew my mom was sick, and I was totally aware that she was not only in pain and suffering, but also her mental health was deteriorating, which is one of the most important aspects of a person's well-being. She died young. She was only 39 years old when she died. Jesus Christ died at the age of 33, and during his time on earth, he accomplished a lot. To me, my mom accomplished a lot for this short period of time God allowed her to be here on earth as well. She was loved by many, starting from her own kids Tina, Doreen, Courage, Naomi, and myself, which is Collins, and even the strangers. Despite her effort to forgive those who emotionally, verbally, and physically abused her, they continued to hurt her, but she never gave up on forgiving them and letting go. I attended primary school at St. Augustine Boys Boarding, uh, but Yenny, this is a boarding school. It's a school where students reside during the semester. Kenya's education system consists of three levels, including 8 years of compulsory primary education, which is equivalent to the middle school, 4 years at secondary level, which is equal to high school, and 4 years of higher education, which is the same at being at any private or public university for 4 years. The Kenyan government provides free primary and secondary education. Being at St. Augustine boarding primary school for 2008 and 2012, I was visited by my mom frequently. Even though she didn't have a car like other parents, she would ride a bicycle to visit me more often. She sacrificed her life for me and many of my other siblings. She was a strong woman who was determined and decisive. Despite the fact she never acquainted a good education in her life due to poverty within her family, she made sure her kids received it. She made sure her kids received it. She was persistent about it. Anyone that messed around during school times would not only be whooped, but would also be escorted back to class right away. Honestly, I never had any problem staying out of class. The only big problem I struggled with was homesickness because I could stay in school for 3 terms consecutively, 3 to 4 weeks of holidays in between. Homesickness in simple terms means missing home. I suffered this during my years in primary school. My younger brother and sister, Courage and Naomi, are the only ones who were mostly whooped by my mom during their early years of primary school. Sometime in 2009 was around the time frame that my lovely mother started to complain about having headaches. She would go to a dispensary where she could be tested, and for and the only diagnosis that could be found was typhoid. So typhoid is a communicable disease which is accompanied by a fever, diarrhea, and headache. This disease is caused by bacterium by the name of Salmonella typhi, uh, typhi. All of the symptoms of typhoid headache seems to be the most common sign because that was what my mom had many times. I'm not a doctor nor a nurse. I'm just saying that because this is what they diagnosed her every time she would go to the hospital for treatment. And she would come home with a lot of medications. I have no idea all these medications were being prescribed correctly. My mom wanted to be in good health, and she indeed sought treatment anytime she needed it. Anytime I would come back home from school, my mom seemed to be in good health despite the headache issues she persistently suffered from. She never allowed this to stop her from accompanying her task and serving God. My mom was a big servant of God. I don't know when she gave her life to Jesus Christ because I was barely old enough to know when she exactly turned her life to Christ. If she was alive today, I would have asked her. During the early years, uh, during during my early years on this earth, I attended Sunday school at Christian Teaching Ministry, Scheibel, CTM, which was located just a few miles from our house. And this church is where my mom served as a Sunday school teacher until she passed away. She liked being around children and preached to them the Word of God. My mom would wake us very early in the morning every Sunday to get us ready for Sunday school service. No one would dodge her around. When it came to matters related to God, she meant business. And this is what kept her going despite her sickness. That was a bar, brother. That was a bar, Collins. We would all have breakfast before or after service in the morning. Being a single mom, she planted her schedule like a pro. Tina, Doreen, and I had responsibilities every day throughout the week. The only time our schedule was interrupted was when I was in school because I'm the only one I'm sorry, not bombarded. I'm the only one who boarded while in primary school while the others attended day school. From Monday to Friday, we accompanied our mom to a farm to either grow or weed crops. When I say weed, I don't mean marijuana. Weeding means tidying or cleaning up the unwanted crops From actual plants. we would we would last at the farm for about 4 to 5 hours from anywhere between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. before getting hot. Before getting off the farm, one of us would be sent back to the home early to cook breakfast. My most common breakfast we all enjoyed working was porridge. Porridge is made from ground maize or millet. Not the ground. It says ground maize. I said that wrong. So porridge is made from ground maize or millet. It helped warm our bellies, and satisfy us for a while. Other times, we would take tea with madazi or mkate. Madazi is a form of fried bread that originated in Swahili coast. It is also known as puff puff or bofra in Western African countries such as Ghana and Nigeria. On the other hand, On the other hand, Makate is Swahili word that means bread. In the Bible, God worked up to the sixth day and rested on the seventh, and that's why it's considered the holy day. So we all rested on this day as well. I enjoyed Sundays because I loved having fun and spending most of my time with my family, especially my beautiful mama. Mama raised us in a righteous way. I couldn't have blamed her if I wouldn't have succeeded in life. She did the best she could to raise us since she carried her first pregnancy of twins in 1998. Tina and I when she was only 20 years old. Her, her determination, commitment, persistence, and hardworking spirit never went to waste. It is painful that she died before having a taste of her kids' fruits. A few months prior to my mama leaving for heaven, I tried to give her the best life possible that she never had. My mom struggled to bring our life into light. Despite the fact she didn't have any good source of income, she made sure there was something on the table to satisfy our groaning bellies. My mom did this because she knew we were the reason why she was still alive, and she used this opportunity wisely. She probably knew that her time on earth was limited and that she wanted to do her best ability. After graduating high school, as Tina and I were preparing to come here in the US, I could feel her emotional pain. Material love is perhaps the most powerful on a son's development and life. Her love and connection with me had grown stronger because of how close we had been together while I was growing up. Disconnecting from her was not only a big hit, but it also exa- ex- exacerbated her illness. I know I pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry. Christmas of 2016 seems like it was just the other day. This is the day my sister and I departed for the United States. While at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, I was over the moon. I was so happy I couldn't express myself. As my mom stood outside the terminal, I could tell she was in shock, but at the same time, blissed. She was happy for us because the dream had come true, but on the other hand, she felt lonely. After arriving here in the US, I assured my mom that everything would be okay. My mom was left with my younger siblings. 2017 was a year of trials and temptations. I would say this was one of the most difficult years of my life uh, because from the beginning to the end, things seemed to be completely out of control. I didn't start working until summer of that year. I wanted to support my mom, who I knew was sick and needed intensive care. First, I advised her not to involve herself in any vigorous activities like farming. I assured her that I would work and send her money for financial support. By doing this, I wanted to relieve her from some of the stressors she had been going through. This is the same year she felt sick more frequently than any other year before. Her sickness did not deprive my happiness, but it made me have constant worries because I knew she had minimum energy left to fight off this enemy. She had been fighting for over a decade, and that illness was unbeatable or undefeatable by her. My mom tried everything to live, but unfortunately, things didn't turn out as she expected. I had never seen anybody that tried to fight for her life like my beautiful mama. She gave her all. In October 2017, she was diagnosed with a brain tumor for the first time. Even though this was the first time she found out that she had a brain tumor, she continued to live with joy and happiness. To me, this news was horrific and painful. I felt bad for her, and being diagnosed with a brain tumor at age 39 was not only saddening, but it also made me um, uh, disturbed. Uh, so she died just 3 months after being diagnosed with brain cancer. All those years, my mom had thought she had typhoid, but in reality, she had one of the deadliest diseases that has ever existed on the face of the earth. Cancer is my enemy. I hate it because it took my mom at an early age. I'm not the only one who has this feeling towards cancer. I know many people out there are suffering because of this enemy, and it should be ashamed of itself for taking the lives of many young men and women. Let's hope that one day our scientists and doctors will find the cure for this ma- uh, malady. Symptoms of brain cancer consist of headaches that are more frequent and severe, nausea and vomiting, vision problems, seizures, difficulty with balance, personality or behavioral changes, and difficulty in making decisions. My mom had all these symptoms, but because of the poor medical system in my motherland, this enemy couldn't be detected early enough. It could have been detected as soon as it started as soon as she started to complain about having headaches. She would be alive and free today. Cancer awareness is very important for early detection. Cancer is not only in developing countries, um, cancer is not only common in developing countries, but also in developed ones. However, awareness is poor among the general population. Poor awareness may lead to delays in diagnosis, for instance. My mom, who probably had it for a decade without even knowing it. Cancer prevention can easily lower the risk of getting cancer. We can prevent cancer by maintaining a healthy lifestyle, avoiding exposure to known cancer causing substances, exercising regularly, and even by taking vaccines to prevent it from developing. Together, we can stop cancer. Alta, Continua, Victoria, Acerta, struggles continues. Victoria, or Victory, victory is certain. And so, y'all, that was chapter 2. That was chapter 1 of the book just the other day. And for those that might be late tuning in, I'll just read this quick synopsis real quick, and then we'll end with a prayer. It says, as long as you're still alive, you'll experience challenges that are far beyond your control. You may end up thinking that giving up is an option, but it shouldn't be the final decision. Challenges produce resistance, which develops inner fortitude. As you grow through challenges, you become stronger and stronger, hence, leading to an excellent opportunity for growth. Let me see. All right. So, appreciate those you guys that tuned in. Another day is always another opportunity. And every Thursday, we're going to be going over this book. So, I believe this is an 8 to 16 week class that we're going to be doing. Tomorrow, we'll be hitting up. It's Friday. So, every Friday is Financial Literacy Friday. So, this is the book we're going to be going over. I don't know if you guys want to, order it. It's up to you guys, but we'll be dissecting this entire book and we'll be learning about our financial literacy. So again, thank you for those of you guys that showed up to this session. We are growing. I'm very excited because after this semester, we're going to have a second semester, and I'm excited to introduce those books. So yeah, another day is always another opportunity. You guys have a great day, and remember to battle strong. The battle has already been won. God bless.